Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the episode Jiggles from the Penguins of Madagascar series. Now in this episode, Kowalski is struggling to invent something, and one of his inventions when the episode begins blows up. And he tells the others that he just knows that there's a really great invention inside him. So he goes back in his lab, and that's when he creates this weird-looking, this Jell-O looking thing. It kind of reminds me of like flubber or something, but the little green thing that he makes looks like a little cube of Jell-O, but it's alive somehow. So anyway, Kowalski is very impressed with his new creation, but yet he has no idea what it does. He just knows that it's alive. And then once the other penguins see it, he finds out that it doesn't like fish, but it does like fruit, because the penguins were about to eat some fish, and the Jiggles thing tried to eat the fish that the penguins were going to eat, but then spit it back out. It's Skipper. Oh boy. So anyway, Kowalski starts taking care of Jiggles, but now that I've actually seen the full episode, it kind of doesn't really make any sense, because there's this one part where Jiggles gets away from Kowalski and eats all of Julian's fruit that he threw away. And Kowalski comes to get Jiggles, and he's like a father to this little green thing. But I just think that they probably should have shown Jiggles leaving Kowalski. But yeah, but anyway, so Jiggles causes trouble for another one of the animals in the zoo, and the more Jiggles eats, the bigger he gets. And Skipper and the others don't like this. They're, nervous about this creature, and Skipper even calls it a monster, which makes Kowalski mad, and he takes Jiggles back into his lab, and then Jiggles disappears on him yet again, and so Kowalski finally sees that Jiggles needs to be contained, and so the other penguins try to capture him, but instead of them catching Jiggles, for some reason, Jiggles eats Julian. And I will say that it's really weird that Kowalski says that that Julian was a Jiggles hater. In other words, Julian didn't like Jiggles, but Julian, I don't think, knew about Jiggles until that moment. And I'm like, why did Kowalski say that? If he should said that, about anybody, it should have been Skipper, because Skipper even called Jiggles a monster. So, yeah, but of course Jiggles doesn't eat Skipper. But anyway, why am I getting their names mixed up today? Kowalski then takes Jiggles because he's mad yet again, and this time he's not just angry mad, he's insane mad. So he takes Jiggles in this one part of the zoo that's like I think it's the storage area, but I'm not exactly sure what that area was. But anyway, so Kowalski takes Jiggles in some area of the zoo, and he's feeding him fruit because that's what he eats, other than Julian. So anyway, Kowalski starts feeding Jiggles fruit, and then when he touches Jiggles, Jiggles sucks him up and eats him, because whatever he touches is, how stuff gets sucked up into him, like fruit and, Julian and now Kowalski. So then Kowalski realizes how much of a danger Jiggles actually is, and he needs a way to get out of Jiggles so he can, tame him and all. And, okay, now this part's a little gross, but it's actually more funny than gross. because Kowalski tries to barf up a fish because Jiggles hates fish, and he actually had fish for lunch. And Julian's like covering his eyes, and he's like, ew, that's disgusting. But for some reason, Kowalski actually can't do it. It's actually weird because I've seen all the other penguins barf stuff up. Of course, Rico does it all the time. And in the Penguins movie, Private was able to barf up this paperclip. And I do know in this one episode, Skipper's able to barf something up. And those are the only times I recall Skipper or Private ever barfing anything up. Rico's the only one that does it a lot. But Kowalski, he can't do it at all for some reason. Okay, now, if you didn't think that was gross, the next part is even more gross. But again, it's also pretty funny because since Kowalski, again, for some reason can't barf stuff up, which that's actually something that penguins can do. So I don't know how Kowalski doesn't have that ability to do that. But anyway, he for some reason can't, and so he has Julian to reach down his throat into his stomach and get the fish out, which I know that sounds disgusting, but trust me, it's actually not as disgusting as it sounds, because when he wants Julian to do that, Julian's like, gross, no, are you crazy? And Kowalski's like, it's either do that or we're going to be digested by Jiggles, which I don't even want to think what that would look like. Ooh, that would really be too much. I guess they would just vanish, because when they showed Jiggles eating fruit, the fruit just vanished. So I guess that's how he digests stuff, it just vanishes. But anyway, so Julian does this, and he's gagging, and he's just like, this is the second most disgusting thing I've ever done. And that's literally what he says. And he said that's the second most disgusting thing he's ever done, which I have a feeling that the first thing was probably, I do know, in one of the episodes of his own series, which takes place before the first movie. That's when Julian's series takes place, before the first movie. Julian has to do that to Mort because Mort accidentally swallowed a key, and Julian has to reach inside his mouth into his stomach and get it out. So Julian was probably referring to that, I think, because I do know, again, he had to do that to Mort in his show, so I have a feeling that Julian was referring to that. So Julian gets the fish out, and again, trust me, this scene is not as disgusting as it sounds. It's actually hilarious. And to hear Julian like gag and like, see him grossed out was so funny. But you can't blame him. I'm actually surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised that his arm reached all the way down into Kowalski's stomach, because wouldn't Kowalski's his esophagus not be big enough for Julian's hand to fit down? I don't know. Either way, it's mixed between gross and funny. But anyway, so Julian pulls the fish out, and Jiggles spits them out, which, again, that's I don't think quite near as gross as what Julian had to do. And once they're spit out, Julian's like, I will not say a word about this if you don't. And so Jiggles and Julian Kowalski and Julian are able to get away from Jiggles, because Jiggles, again, wants to eat them. Again. And Kowalski says that he needs his friends to help him calm Jiggles down. But it's actually interesting because people say that Kowalski, Rico, and Skipper are brothers, and Private's their adopted brother. And I also read somewhere that it actually wasn't truly revealed that it was, unknown at the time that Kowalski, Rico, and Skipper were actual brothers. I think the Penguins movie kind of confirmed that more, because it is interesting, because I do know in the Penguins movie, Private calls them his brothers, and there's an episode in the Penguin series where Skipper calls Rico his brother, but yet there's also another episode where Private calls them his friends and not his brothers like he did in the Penguins movie. So yeah, in fact, I don't think they ever really refer to each other as brothers in the show, other than that one time, if I'm not mistaken, which, that's interesting to me. But I'm very sure that Kowalski, Rico, and Skipper are actual brothers, and Private's their adopted brother, which we know that for sure. We know that for sure. So the other penguins help Kowalski, and it looks like Jiggles is gone. And then back at their headquarters, Kowalski confesses that maybe he's not the mad scientist type, which Kowalski kind of is in a way, because of some of the other episodes, some things that he's done in other episodes, like other things that he's made. But it's actually interesting because Skipper even says that like mad scientist type stuff only leads to destruction, it only leads to trouble, which that's actually kind of surprising that I actually agree with Skipper on that, because I don't think I agree with Skipper on much, but that I do agree on. But yeah, I seriously don't think that this was the last time that Kowalski was like a mad scientist. I don't think he 100% learned his lesson. And he apparently didn't learn his lesson about Jiggles, because at the very end of the episode, it's revealed that Kowalski didn't, dispose of Jiggles. He actually just made him smaller. And then in another episode, which I really hope I can see this one at some point, because Skipper accidentally, discovers Jiggles, and Skipper's like, I thought you got rid of that thing. And so yeah, I really hope I can see that episode at some point. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more. Bye.